Yes, it's that time again. It's awful AutoCAD 101 time. That awful AutoCAD. Alright, let's bring over AutoCAD. And we're going to work on assignment 11, which is we're going to play with the hatch command a little more today. In particular, we're going to put a hatch pattern in here. But one thing, when you start hatch, and it'd be nice if I was in AutoCAD. It'd be nice, so if we start hatch, and it gives us all the information here, but it's just not really laid out too handily. Let me show you something else. If we type this HPDGL mode, and you don't have to do this. If you like the layout that you had there, this is fine. So HP, and I can't even type, HPDGL mode, and make that 1, you'll get the hatch dialog box that we've used forever. I kind of prefer this. I think it's real handy. Everything's right here. If you click over here, you can actually go to the island detection, but you probably don't generally need to mess with that. The other thing is it always gives you kind of a little preview of what it looks like and everything else. So today, what we're going to do is we're going to put this hatch pattern in here. Go ahead and open your assignment 3, save as assignment 11. See, I've already done that. And without looking at the assignment 3 handout, I don't remember what this hatch was. Well, that's the nice thing right here. We've got this inherit properties. So if we click on that and then go pick points, you'll notice it tells us it was a steel hatch, it was set to 4, and it set those things for us. Not only that, it knows what layer it was put on, and it will put it on that layer too. So we hit OK. Yay, joyous and yelling. So that's using that. If you're doing it without the HPDGL mode, and to turn that off, just type HPDGL mode and type 2. You can also type 0. 2 gives you some other options that 0 doesn't. 0 really turns it off. Let's go back to hatch. That's set origin, and there's also one that's match properties. You could have done match properties from here to do that. You could have, and we're about to do set origin. So the stuff's here. I just like the other one because it's easier to see. You get a little preview of what it looks like and a whole bunch of other things. I just like it better. So let me put my HPDGL back. HPDGL mode. Can't type and talk at the same time. And we'll make it 1. All right. So that's kind of all we were really trying to mess with here. The next thing we're going to do is go mess with a site plan and do some other things with hatch. So let me close this. We'll hit save. And I don't really need it anymore, so we'll close it. Let's go look at the campus police plan. Hope this is the right one. Okay, yeah, this is one I made for y'all. Okay. This is a project I'm actually working on at the moment. So we've got this parking lot. We're closing these 2 entrances, so we're going to have to put sidewalk back here. And I've got some dimensions in place and some other stuff. So let's start with using our lay freeze. And let's freeze the dimensions and the notes and the parking striping and the bollards. And we're going to put this stuff in so y'all don't have it yet. Oh, that's my current layer. So I'll just use, we'll set, and I need to show you how to bring this up as a dialog box too. We'll make that current. Go back to lay freeze. And these are going to get in the way, so we don't want those. Don't really need the streets on either. We're going to hatch this whole area a gray so the contractor knows what new asphalt he's required to put in. And we're going to hatch these areas of our sidewalks with an AR sand hatch. We'll start with that. Let's go up to layer. We're going to do that on, oops. CSIWAPA2 sounds like a TV show, CSI Miami or something. No, it stands for Civil Site Walk Patterning number 2. If you remember me talking about in the other hatch lecture that some of the hatch patterns are little dots and they won't show up on prints very well if we use just the patterning layer, which is the PAs. So we made this PA2, which is a heavier pin weight. That's the layer we're going to work on. I got it frozen at the minute, so it's dot and make it current. You're going to use AR sand. Let's erase these real quick and make y'all, now that you know what we're looking to produce, let's look at how we do it. So hatch, of course now I get my dialog box. I want to use AR sand. I don't know what scale to use, so to start with, and it always depends on the drawing details and everything else. Eventually you'll get a feel, like, yeah, it's probably going to be at this number, but right now we'll just, let's hit pick points. We'll zoom into this one. And you go, wow, that's a lot of dots. We don't need that many dots. So hit enter. Change the scale. Let's make it 8. Preview. It's not too bad. It's still a lot of dots when you really think about how small this drawing is. Preview. That's better. We'll do that. And I shouldn't have shown you that because I should have told you that you have to figure it out. But anyway, when you do the rest of these, you're probably going, why didn't you pick all these other things? You're better off when you're dealing with hatch to make it small pieces. So if for some reason later we have to come in here and have to adjust this, let's say we have to move it up here or something, that's handier. So you're better off, let's go back to the hatch, and we'll, now if you pick in here, what's going to happen, you're just going to get this outside. So let's not pick points, let's add select objects, because I did these as polylines. I turned them into polylines, and I got the inside one. Let's go ahead and adjust it. Remember the grips, you can use the grips to adjust it. So sometimes it's easier to adjust it, sometimes you just want to redo the hatch, doesn't really matter. Whoops, I went to hit escape and hit the F1. F1's help. So it's hatching. You don't need hatch inside, the curves aren't going to show up enough to do that. So pick points. Okay. Pick point. Yeah, let's go ahead and we could probably get away with this amount here. Oops, come on. Won't let me get out here. I got to get out of it before it'll let me pan. Pick points, and this time we'll just do that one. This is actually a concrete approach. Let's go ahead and grab it too. And what we're doing by showing this hatch is by telling the contractor, these are the areas you're going to have. Oops, well, I got my curb. I guess that's okay. These are the areas you're going to have to do as concrete walk. And this is actually just the curb. This is dirt in here. So we're not going to bother to do that. But now we need to put a gray color in here. And remember, when we go set up to plot, and we'll talk about plot next time, most of our lines are set to print black. So we need a line that's not going to print black. So we go hatch. Sorry, I'm using their old command. Hatch. And one of your options under pattern, and if you scroll down, you can find it. It's called solid, but you're like, wait, there's nothing called solid there. I don't know why they did this. It's actually up here. It's not a true hatch in the way that AutoCAD calculates hatch. So I think that's why they did put it as a pattern name. But pick that. For color, come down here to select color. And we have 3 types of colors. There's index color, which are all the AutoCAD colors that we can use up to 255. True colors, which are the RGB type colors. You can also pick different types of color modes. And then there's color books. These are the old Pantone color books and stuff like that from a long time ago. Y'all remember this. But if you're ever doing anything that's standardized color, these Pantone books and stuff
were used forever, so that what you see on your screen may not be exact, but if it's Pantone this color, you'll get that color out of the printer. Probably won't ever have to deal with these. You might want to use these true colors occasionally. Oops, excuse me. They're pretty handy. We're going to pick a gray, and that gray, if you'll just type down here, just go 200, 200, 200, and hit enter. And now we can go pick points, pick in here somewhere, and okay. And now we have this gray. So let's star layers. So in our case, I'll just go dash layer, thaw, use the asterisk for everything. And now I've got all my stuff. Normally with Hatch, it puts Hatch behind everything else. Occasionally you won't have that. I'm just going to grab some things real quick so that you'll see what I'm talking about. Oops. And draw order. And we'll send that to you. Oops. Oh, now I got to pick the object. I thought I had to pick them first. Sorry. Well, occasionally you're going to get things where they're not where they're supposed to be, and of course I can't get them to do that. Let's just see if I can grab these. It used to be on the tools pull down. And we want it to the back. We'll just try the B for back. Okay, occasionally you'll get this. That stuff's still there. You know, if we froze our hatch layer, you'd find out. But one thing you can do to fix that is come in here, click on this, draw order, like I just did, but of course you wouldn't have had to do this, and hit B for back. You can also have it go under certain objects and pick those objects and stuff like that. But if you ever get this, that's how to do it. There's actually a command to make solids like this. It's not as convenient with all these curves. Command's called solid. This works sometimes if you want it, and you pick your shapes in kind of a Z pattern. And the reason is it thinks in terms of triangles, so it thinks in terms of that triangle, and then using those 2 points and this fourth point. Don't ask me. It has to do with how they do some things in 3. But anyway, so sometimes that solid pattern works, but that's a good example of, you'll notice if I move this over here, how it disappears. That's because this was drawn more recently than that was. So in that case, I'd have to pick this, go to draw, order, and hit B, and now it would go to the back. But let's undo all that, because of course I don't want to do that. And then that's this drawing. That's all we're going to do on this today. I just thought you might enjoy fiddling with the real drawing. Save. Finally, yeah, it's like we haven't done enough yet, right? Finally, we're going to go open up that wall base file we used before. And so go open up that wall base file. Oops, this is a different one. Just wait. Close. I thought I'd saved that. Well, we'll just pick on this one. That's probably the right one. I have 2 copies of it. So I think this is the right one. I think it's in the right directory. But anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to come into this 201 meeting. Now, never, ever, well, here, we'll just make a rectangle so you see. You never want to explode Hatch. Ever. So let's put this on layer 0. I really miss my other layout. I'm going to have to show you the standard layout for AutoCAD at one of these days. All right, we'll just hatch on that. Let's go put in some AR sand hatch. Add select object since it's a rectangle. Preview, that's good. Okay. Now, if I wanted to, I could explode that hatch. So I hit explode. because I want to make my hatch, I want to adjust it because there's supposed to be another rectangle right here, and there's not supposed to be hatch in that. So I can go in here now and erase and highlight all this stuff. Never, ever do this, because one thing you've noticed, these are all separate objects. There's a million of them. So actually, they're going to get moved around. It's going to be a mess. So never, ever, 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 ever explode hatch, unless you want to explode your hatch. And there's a reason you would. We're going to draw the ceiling grid for this room. Let's go to layer. Let's go to all the layers. I don't have these here, so I'm going to make a couple layers. I'm going to make a new one called A Ceiling. Oops, let's put my caps on. A Ceiling Grid. We'll make it color 9. That's this one here. And I think it had the 30 in your that handout for the AIA layers. That's really off. It should be 9. We're going to make that current. And we'll come in here and we'll go hatch. Oops. I'm not sure why it's got an error. But instead of a normal hatch pattern, we're going to use a user-defined hatch. And what that means is we can say how far apart we want the lines. In this case, the ceiling grid line, they're called T-grid. That ceiling grid line is usually about 24 inches apart. Here, let's close this, get down to where we talk about that. So this is the ceiling. We're drawing these lines. So usually that's by 24 by 24 wide, and it's usually either 24 this way or 48 this way. But that's the grid lines that we're going to use. So let me go back to hatch. So we want our lines 2 feet apart. If we click double, it puts them both horizontally and vertically. Now we go to pick points. And you'll notice that it's made a break where the text is. Oops. Let's have it ignore islands. Let's go pick points again. Preview. And see now how it doesn't, the text isn't in the way. So that's where one of these island things might come in handy. Now, this is a good example of where we might want to use this hatch. But let's erase it because we should have done one more thing. Let's go hatch. Pick points. It's still set for this. So pick points. Preview. It's still going through our text, so that's good. But let's have it start, instead of some random point, let's have it start at this corner. So let's go specify origin, click to set new origin, and we'll click right there. Now when we get preview, it starts at there and starts going, it's 24 inches. Kind of handy, so enter. You could have also done this with hatch edit. That's another command. Now at this point, now we can explode it because we just want lines. This is just a very fast way of making a whole bunch of lines. So explode. X is a shortcut. Now, because we want our hatch pattern centered in the room, let's move this stuff to this middle. Oops, I'm going to have to make another one down here, offset 24. And let's move these to the middle. So move, grab all those. And we'll put that. It was pretty close. Normally, we don't want a little teeny piece like this. This ceiling stuff's real fragile. So let's move these up. Actually, I didn't need to make that one because we're going to move it down. Put our ortho on, and we want to go down 12 inches. There. Now it's evenly centered around the room. We've got nice thick pieces. We're good to go. So now we're going to make a layer. We'll make another layer called ACLEL for A Ceiling Electrical. This is the lighting fixtures. We'll make it color red, and I think it's around 0.25 if I remember correctly. And we'll make that one current. We're going to make a rectangle, a 2-foot by 4-foot rectangle that's for our fluorescent light fixture. So rectangle, we'll make it out here for right now. So 48, 24. If you ever get this, you're like, why didn't it not do what it's supposed to do? It just went to the coordinate 48, 24 instead of over. May happen to you a little bit. This is your F12 button. So now let's see if it works. 48, 24. There. So there's the drawing itself has a 0 point, a 0, 0 up, 0 over. And what that F12 does is, if that's not set, that's dynamic and coordinate entry. Coordinate entry sends you to that point that's 48 inches over and 24 inches up from the 0, 0 point. We never need to worry about that, so you probably always want to have your F12 dynamic on. If you're talking to old CAD monkeys like me, we don't. That's old, and so we have to put an at in front of everything. Real annoying. Anyway, don't worry about that. So we're going to offset this one into, so offset 1. And it'd be nice if I could type offset 1. Now we're going to make a block of that. So block, we want to call it 2 by 4 fluorescent, which is FLUOR. We'll pick this corner for our base point. Select our objects. Don't forget to select your objects. AutoCAD's quite happy to make a block of nothing. And we'll go ahead and convert it to a block. Now, these typically are about 48 inches apart. So let's put this one here. And we'll copy it up. There, that's 48 inches apart. There, that's pretty good. Oh. But they're not centered in the room now. That table's going to be in the center of the room. Oh, no. So we're going to have to move these lines. Even though we moved them because we didn't want skinny edges, we're going to have skinny edges in this room. So we move it back down 12 inches. Now we have to offset 24 to put another grid line in. And we need to trim this little bit in here out, so trim. We'll pick all these lines because it doesn't matter if we pick extra ones. And then we get rid of the parts we need. And that's our ceiling layout. For smaller rooms, you sometimes have little issues like this. Let's see distance. Let's see how far it is. A little over 4 inches, about 4.5 inches. We're just gonna have to live with that. When you get to really complex rooms like this, things to avoid are, well, let's throw a hatch pattern on it real quick. B hatch. Select objects. So we got that border in here already, so I can do that. Gotta do it on the wrong layer, but that's okay. You really want to avoid this. So if you ever have this, you want to either move. You'll move this batch of lines. Either want to move this batch of lines to here, or move this batch of lines. There's another one. Oops, there's some others, but just you get the idea. To here. That way you don't have those those open corners. Because man, those break like something else. Of course, I just created another one. So you may have to move the grids both directions. But anyway, that's it for today. Next time we'll go over plotting.